Walter's final NXT UK match to air next week as he moves to NXT 2.0. William Regal among superstars and producers released by the WWE last week. Will Ospreay is due to defend his Warrior Wrestling Championship in a first-time ever clash with Brian Cage. NJPW's Gabriel Kidd is set to clash with AJPW's Francesco Akira at Rev Pro UK's High Stakes. WXW Unified Champion Axel Tischer will debut for Progress at Chapter 127. Jonathan Gresham returns to Progress at Chapter 128 Technique as the first matchup has been announced. All 8 combatants of Wrestle Carnival's Carnival Championship tournament have been announced. Eric Young will not be at Wrestle Carnival Carnival Champions or Fight Nation Wrestling Rise of the Kingdom as his tour has been rescheduled. Mark Haskins will be making his return to FNW at Rise of the Kingdom. Emilia McKenzie is set to challenge Lizzy Evo for the Catch Pro Women's Championship. WXW have announced an 8-man tournament for their Road to 16 Carat show. The winner of it will earn a place in the actual 16 Carat tournament. And ICW have cancelled their January live shows. That's a lot of news. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Teen Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net, brought to you by Powered 4 TV. I'm your host, the Great British Attacker, Mr. Andrew Moore, and Deacon Most, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host. He is Big Daddy Dan Daniel Allen, or just Dan for short. How are we doing, Dan?
I'm in a great mood.
Excellent. And why are you in a great mood?
Just been with our third man, Mr. Stephen Sowden, to UBW's The Floor is Lava show.
You did indeed. And how did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it a lot because there was some excellent wrestling, some great fun times, and my son and daughter were with me, and my son won the raffle, which is just even better. So we started off.
Wait. What did your son win with this raffle?
He won a signed A3 poster board, signed by all of the wrestlers that were there. And because there was a rumble, there were quite a few of them, he received tickets to the UBW show of his choice. And we're going to go to WrestleMania, which is going to be in Peterborough. And he also received a session at their training school. So much as I tried to talk him into letting me have it, he is going to be going along and doing some wrestling training.
That's fantastic. That is an awesome giveaway, to be honest. It really is. I mean, I won a raffle at a show and all I got was tickets to the next show. So to be honest, that sounds like an absolute fantastic. And I'm sure you're
entering the wrong raffles, because I won a raffle and I got a 20-year-old bottle of cognac that was worth a decent chunk of money. And I don't think they realised that when they put it in.
Oh, who knows? Anyway, so why don't you tell us about the show itself?
I would love to. We started off with the Square One Championship, which was Jimbo, whose gimmick is he lives in the bin behind the shops, versus Adonis Payne, who is one of the homegrown talents who's been really building himself up. It was a good match. Adonis Payne showed that he can really wrestle. He's got his moveset down really well. And he beat Jimbo for the UBW Championships. Jimbo tried to attack him with a foreign object. He did try and attack him with a sausage roll, which led to the chant of sausage roll, sausage roll, sausage roll. This comes back later. Adonis Payne won. Congratulations to him. New UBW Square One champion. Good match.
Congratulations, Adonis Payne.
Yeah. We then started the show proper with the Sunshine Machine versus Thunder Express. It's the first time Sunshine Machine have wrestled at UBW. They were amazing, as they always are. Because it was a smaller crowd and it wasn't being taped, they were having fun with the crowd more. They were very much more vocal and chatting away and taking the mickey during the match. And it was great fun. And they even went a little bit heel. They did a little bit of cheating And they did your favourite tag of foot to hand.
It sentenced them to the tag team's rule. Hell, that is just wrong.
Anyway, they did really well against Thunder Express, who are another local young team, and they won. Congratulations, Sunshine Machine.
Okay.
We then had Mr. Charles Crowley, the favourite of UBW. Everybody absolutely loves him, versus Ricky Calvert, a true heel of UBW, who seemed to have stolen Pat Butcher's coat when he came out.
I do know that our third man, the tribal geek of the Big Fat Geeks, Mr. Stephen Southern, his young son is Charles Crowley's biggest fan. And he was super excited. There was a little post about it. So excited to see Charles Crowley win. Yeah,
he got in the ring and had a photo with him afterwards. And Stephen was wearing his Charles Crowley t-shirt, as was Jack. Until Jack bought a new t-shirt.
Oh, what did he get?
He bought a CJ Carter t-shirt.
CJ Carter.
Yep, who we will speak about in a minute. Now, Crowley had a great match against Ricky Calvert, which he won, much to everybody's pleasure.
Excellent.
CJ Carter then took on Smashing Mike for the Young Lions title. This was the best match of the night. It was phenomenally well paced. It was a match that could have been on Rev Pro. It was a match that could have been on Progress. It was absolutely fantastic. Quick exchanges, quick move sets, just everything done beautifully. It was difficult because they were big fans of both men. So there was a lot of dueling chants and a lot of difficulty in wanting to not like CJ Carter or not like Smashing Mike. So it went down really, really well. In the end, Smashing Mike won and retained, and he got CJ Carter's respect and a big shake of the hand. Then out came a cameraman to take a picture of the two together and then smashed his camera over Smashing Mike's head. It was the dastardly Hustle Malone who owned... Yep, he owned a right to challenge at any time for the Young Lions Championship, and he took the beaten Smashing Mike and beat him for the Young Lions Championship. So Hustle Malone is indeed, is the new and very bad champion of the Young Lions. We then had our final match of the first half, which was Spike Valentine against Evie Madden, the locksmith. Evie Madden had meant to be having a match against Darcy Stone. Darcy Stone unfortunately couldn't compete and took on the excellent Spike Valentine. This match was all about Evie locking in submissions, putting pressure on. She was brilliant, and Spike fought back all the way through, and in the end he powered through and he won and is still the British heavyweight champion. We then had the floor is lava. Now, because the floor is lava, you don't have to go over the top rope, you just have to be sent outside to touch the floor. Okay. Because that's the way the floor is lava works, isn't it?
It is.
So you don't have to go over a top rope, no. Which also means that Tope Suicidas put you out. The final four of the 30, including a classic British moment when we had Spider-Man. Although he was Buddha-Man. The final four were Aleister Crowley, Roswell, Truman Roswell, Smashing Mike, and Ricky Calvert. And your winner was not Mr. Crowley, which meant everybody upset. It was Truman Roswell. So the heel is going forward to WrestleMania to challenge Spike Valentine for the championship.
Wow.
Overall, I would give it 3.5 sugars.
That's excellent. It sounds like you had a lot of fun. I saw from the tweets from the third man, Tribal Geek. He also seemed to have had a lot of fun. So that's a great little family show, UBW. So they're local in the Hertfordshire area. So
the next show is Peterborough, and that is on the 19th of February.
Excellent. So if you're in the area and you're listening to this, get yourself down to UBW and check their show out. Right. Yeah, we got a lot of news to cover.
Oh, yeah.
And even after that, we've got a further roundup. And then, of course, there's the reviews of the first NXT UK of the year, the first ICW Fight
Second
Club,
ICW.
most recent ICW Fight Club, North Wrestling's NCL, which is available via their Patreon. More on that in a little while. And Rev Pro UK's, it was live at the 229.
768.
54. I tell you what, to be honest, it's been a long time coming. I've been waiting for this one to go on for like 4 weeks. So, it was a good show anyway. But again, we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll start with the fact that Walter, his last NXT UK match will air next week. So obviously, while he was over in the UK and Europe, before he set out to the States, he taped one last match, and that is going to be against Nathan Fraser.
I'm excited about it. It is going to be a great match.
Do you think he's going to put Fraser over on the way out?
Over a table, over a chair, over the top rope.
So, no, you don't think he's going to put... You think Walter's going to go out on top? Because he had his NXT debut alongside his Imperium buddies, but they actually lost. So Walter debuts on NXT and loses his first match. I worry for the guys over in NXT, and I suppose we might as well move on and talk about it because they've gotten rid of so many different people. Danny Burch, of course, was released, so I'm sure it will hopefully see him back in the UK. But Timothy Thatcher, how do you let go like Timothy Thatcher go? He's like one of the best wrestlers in the business, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but he wasn't considered a wrestler anymore. He was considered a behind the scenes.
Yeah, but then he would be the amazing coach because, again, like I said, he's an amazing wrestler.
He is.
I don't understand it. And of course, finally, William Regal. I mean, Samoa Joe as well, but yeah, William Regal as well has been let go. I mean, he is NXT, isn't he?
Without him, there is no original NXT, in my opinion. He scouted for WWE. He brought talent in. He made war games for a lot of the younger generation. Exactly. He memed himself.
Yeah.
If you read his biography and know where he came from and know what he went through, and it's just, he bleeds wrestling.
Indeed. There's so many things we could hope that he could do. Maybe come back to the UK and set up a little training facility. Maybe come work for one of the promotions as a general manager. But
I can't see it happening.
Does he go to even AEW and become a scout for AEW?
He's lived in Florida since '94, I think. He's
not going to have to move if he gets a job with AEW and becomes a scout.
Exactly. And he's got his virtual zoo there as well. He keeps a huge number of reptiles. He has a really unusually large collection of reptiles. I can't see him moving back to the UK.
Could you imagine, he's maybe going to NWA and doing something with Nick Aldis, Doug Williams, and then even maybe bringing a few more UK guys from behind the scene and lead a team of British wrestlers as their manager?
I could see him going in as an authority figure for AEW. I think AEW haven't had an authority figure. I know Nick Khan's previously said it's not something he's been looking for, but when you have that opportunity land on you, it's got to be considered.
If authority figures are done right, like Regal was on NXT, we didn't see him every week. We only saw him when we needed to, and sometimes he would come down to the ring and he'll book your matches because... I don't get it. And of course, a lot of tributes went out to him. We've got a selection of a few of them. So let's just go. Sam Gradwell said, I turned up at the WWE tryout in 2014, out of my depth. William Regal pulled me aside and told me he saw something in me. From that day on, he did everything he could to try and help me develop into the man and performer I am today. And I hope that'll continue regardless of where he is.
Mark Andrews, William Regal is responsible for so many deserving wrestlers getting their big break. His passion for the industry and for teaching the next generation of wrestlers is unmatched. Very grateful for the opportunities he's given me.
James Drake, William Regal was the man responsible for the inception of NXT UK. Throughout 2016, he travelled around the UK independent scene to find 16 participants for the WWE UK tournament. I will never forget him phoning me up with an offer to leave my 9-to-5 life behind me. At the time, I didn't have a big UK independent name. I was working shows around Morecambe and holiday camps. Without him, I wouldn't be anywhere I am today. There would be no FS Wrestling UK or this version of GYV. He lives and breathes this job. Thank you.
Debbie Keitel, during my tryout match, Martina grinded on me and I screamed, "Get this disgusting specimen off me, she's sticky." And William Regal let out the biggest laugh I've ever heard. After the match, he shook my hand and said, "You remind me of someone," and winked. What a
guy. Speaking of Seshimov, Martina said, at my WWE tryout, I was terrified, thinking I can't do what I usually do. WWE wouldn't want that. And Regal made me feel so comfortable, telling me to curse, spit, be as drunk as possible, and just be myself. And he loved what I do. My biggest regret is not grinding on him.
And finally, Mad Kurt. Honestly heartbroken about William Regal. At my WWE tryout, he literally could not stop saying things like, "You're not supposed to be here," and "Please leave the premises." Man, I could listen to that man all day.
Okay, so yeah, we thought we'd have to finish on that one just to bring a bit of levity to some of it. And as I say, whatever lies ahead for William Regal, I'm sure he'll put his whole heart and thing into, because that's what it seems to do. And as you say, he means so much to so many British wrestlers. We've talked about Davey Boy Smith and how Regal did the exact same thing at a latter point.
Okay.
Anyway,
so look forward to seeing what he does.
Yeah, okay. Will Ospreay, he lost against Kazuchika Okada at Wrestle Kingdom recently, this past week, which was to my surprise, but we'll talk about that one a little bit more later. But for now, he will be defending his Warrior Championship at Warrior Wrestling 18, which is on the 22nd of February in Indiana. He'll be facing AEW's Brian Cage, and this is the first time the two would have ever met. So should be a good match, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be a different match. Brian Cage obviously is an absolute beast, but he can still move. So I look forward to seeing how he does against Will Ospreay.
Yeah, it's going to be an athletic power match because both guys are heavyweights, including Will Ospreay nowadays, as we say. And I'm sure it's going to be a great match. And of course, before then, he's actually got to defend against Michael Oku. He's got to defend his Rev Pro UK British Undisputed Heavyweight Championship against Michael Oku. And that's high stakes on the 29th of January.
Yeah. Again, that should be an absolutely brilliant match. Michael Oku has previously come up short against Will Ospreay, about 8 inches. Yes, it should be a good match.
1 minute, apparently. That was all that was left on the timer when Will Ospreay beat him.
Yeah. Back to Warrior Wrestling just very quickly. When he goes against Brian Cage, Brian Cage will have something to prove because he's not being used in AEW at the moment at all, and people think that his contract won't be renewed. So this will be a real opportunity for him to show what he's got to other companies.
Yeah, it just shows that other companies also leave people in catering.
Indeed.
But yeah, so back to Rev Pro UK, of course, as we said, Will Ospreay defends against Michael Oku. But there will be an AJPW, an All Japan Pro Wrestling, and a New Japan Pro Wrestling superstars clashing at UK's high stakes. And that will be Gabriel Kidd and Francesco Akira.
I want to see this match.
I know. And I'll tell you what, did you know that both Akira and Kidd moved to Japan in 2020 and both chose to stay whilst the world went into lockdown?
I did, because I read their tweets.
So Kidd is the only European graduate of the NJPW dojo system, and Akira is the only European to hold the All Japan Pro Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Championship.
This is fantastic booking by Rev Pro.
It's amazing booking. It's a dream match, and just thinking, because Wrestle Kingdom Night 3 is technically a Noah versus New Japan card, so Rev Pro are doing their own little thing with All Japan and New Japan here. And as you say, that's just going to be a killer match. There's some other great matches on card as well. Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino will be facing off against each other, because we knew that because the match was made at Seasons Beatons. And then, of course, there'll also be Luke Jacobs versus RKJ, which, again, we knew because, again, the match was made at Seasons Beatons, which was a show we were at. Maybe I can speak to Cass about getting high stakes. Maybe, who knows? Be great, please, Cass. Anyway, but that, as you say, that's just going to be an absolute fantastic show. But of course, they're not the only big independent promotion in the UK at the moment. No, Progress Wrestling.
It is indeed. Progress have announced that WXW, Germany's unified world champion, will be making his debut for Progress at Chapter 127. And the word was Progress. That is, of course, Axel Tischer, and he will face British wrestling veteran Dean Hallmark.
You know what? I couldn't believe that this was Axel Tischer's debut. I looked through everything, and yeah, I absolutely cannot believe that Axel Tischer has not been on Progress before. Because, of course, all of his other ring camp people, Walter, Timothy Thatcher, Marcel Bartel, although he was going by Axel Dreisker Jr. at the time. Yeah, as I say, all of them competed up for Progress. I just assumed that Tischer had done so as well, but
never assume.
Never assume. You make an ass of you and me.
However, someone that is making a return to Progress is Session Moth Martina. She'll be returning at Chapter 127, where she will face Tonga. Brilliant. Great to see her back. Progress have also announced their second live fan show, Technique, which will be in Manchester on the 6th of February.
Yeah, so the ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham will be in action as well, which is why the show is called Technique, because Jonathan Gresham is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. So I'm assuming he's probably going to take on whoever wins out of Cara Noir and Chris Ridgway, and of course that'll be an excellent match. They did actually announce this when they first made their statement about the takeover, but what has been announced is the first matchup for the show,
which will be Luke Jacobs against Spike Trevay in a no DQ match. That is going to be brilliant. Luke Jacobs is on fire at the moment.
Yeah, obviously, without Ethan Allen, Jacobs has been making a real name for himself as a singles competitor. I really hope that they actually join back up and become a team again, because it would be an absolute shame to lose Young Guns as a tag team. But as you say, Jacobs has been on fire. That match at Rev Pro UK against Francesco Akira, as I say, standing ovation. I had to stand and clap myself. It was just such a good match. And but Spike Trevay has been throughout the WWE Network no fan era of Progress. Of course, Spike Trevay has been hassling a lot of Northwest Strong. He picked the win up against Chris Ridgway, a couple of wins over Ethan Allen. He has faced Spike in Jacobs in a match and got himself disqualified, which is why Jacobs demanded a no DQ match. And of course, he's going to be the hometown boy in Manchester. So going to be a good show, I guess.
It should be. Another show that is going to be amazing, and I'm going to be at, is Wrestle Carnival's Carnival of Champions. I have announced the final 3 combatants for the tournament at Carnival of Champions on the 3rd of...
30th.
30th of January. It is Dean Allmark versus Warren Banks and Tommy Kyle, who are all going to be in that tournament. And they will be joining Charles Crowley, Charlie Sterling, Jay Joshua, Big Guns Joe, and Chris Ridgway.
Yeah, so they previously announced all 8 female combatants for the Queen of the Carnival, and good to see this, the final 3. Looks like it's going to be an absolute fantastic tournament. They did announce the rules, so it will be both tournaments will be 2 4-person battle royals with 2 people starting and then others join in at timed intervals. The elimination is standard battle royal rules, which is over the top rope and feet touching the floor. The winner of the battle royals will then face off in a standard singles match for the finals.
Tommy Kyle, who was originally set to compete against Tom Thelwell, is going to replace Brady Phillips, who is going to himself replace Will Cruz to team with Powerhouse Blake in a tag match against Reese and Rogan. So basically, Tommy Kyle's going to be in the Battle Royal. And I was watching the Floor is Lava Battle Royal today, which featured Tommy Kyle and Charles Crowley.
Well,
a little bit of
How did they... Well, you said Crowley was in the top 4 and
Kyle was actually the 5th.
Okay, so they've got some experience there.
Oh, yes. Tom Thelwell will also face Man Like DeReese. I'm very happy about this. I've not seen Thelwell live before. Eric Young, however, will no longer be at the show as he has had to cancel the upcoming shows due to COVID protocols, leading on to...
Yeah, so Eric Young has had to cancel his upcoming UK tour and will no longer be at Fight Nation Wrestling Evo, their Rise of the Kingdom show. He has rescheduled his tour though for the 23rd of March, and that will be till mid-April. He is available for shows and seminars. Again, it will be contacting Gary Ward for the booking information.
Fight Nation have announced the replacement for Eric Young against Martin Kirby, and it is Mark Haskins. I'm happy with that. I definitely don't want a refund. I'm very happy with that. Martin Kirby and Mark Haskins are going to be fighting at the Rise of the Kingdom. Mark Haskins is, of course, a former FNW champion and was, in fact, the inaugural holder of the FNW British Heavyweight Championship.
Indeed, and he was an IPW champion before that as well. So, yeah, great to see Mark Haskins back. Shame that obviously the reason behind these new appearances from Mark Haskins has been due to him being released from his ROH contract. He appeared at TNT Extreme Wrestling actually on the 4th, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that on Powered 4 TV a little bit later.
Yeah, his wife put up a lovely tweet about that and how she felt that this was the first time she'd been able to attend a British show with her children comfortably backstage. And I thought that was a real pat on the back to TNT.
Yeah, considering it's an overrating show.
I did say backstage.
Yeah. But yeah, as you say, Mark Haskins back on the on the independent scene properly is huge for the UK. He is a phenomenal talent. Love to see him clash with Chris Ridgway once again and so many others. Danny Black would be a good match. Maybe against Francesco Akira if he gets the chance. But Martin Kirby, just going to be an excellent match.
Oh, yes. I am really looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. One piece of news that kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest, is Catch Pro Wrestling. So Catch Pro announced that NXT UK superstar Emilia McKenzie will challenge Lizzy Evo for their Catch Pro Women's Championship. That's Monday Night Catch Pro, and that is on the 7th of February at the Bread Shed in Manchester. But yeah, I mean, she's competing under the NXT UK name, which means she's still with NXT UK. She's not a free agent. Normally, they don't typically allow that. But I mean, I know there are some exceptions. certain talent. Obviously, the top talent definitely can't work unless it's a WWE affiliated one, Progress, ICW, WXW. But there are things like they can only compete against other WWE competitors, which I know we've seen Lizzy Evo on TV. We haven't seen her matches yet, but we know she's had dark matches, possibly, or matches.
But we had Tyson T-Bone wrestle recently, didn't we?
Yes, he's wrestled for Black County Country Wrestling, and actually he's in the main event. We'll be doing that in the further roundup as well, because he has been named. I reached out to the source to find out if Tyson T-Bone is actually a free agent or whether, again, this is just one of these occasions where...
This is what happens when I don't read ahead in the notes. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, because he appeared on the show a couple of weeks ago, and then, of course, they've just announced another match with him in. So that's... It's good for Cash Pro. It's going to be a fantastic match, Emilia McKenzie versus Lizzy Evo. It's going to be, as I say, you can't deny it's just going to be a great match.
For such a young company, it's really, really great news. So well done, Catch Pro, for pulling this off.
Yeah, I love what Catch Pro are doing. I know they probably, because I'm not sure if they're big fans of Progress, but they really are becoming like the Rev Pro or the Progress in Manchester. It's like that main brand for Manchester, and I think that's fantastic. And they give so many young competitors, as well as getting those experienced names, and now, as you say, a top name, Emilia McKenzie. But what are some of the other matches that they have announced recently?
They have announced Northwest Strong members Scott Oberman and Joe Kessler will face Benjamin Harland and Jack Knudsen of the Crew. Plus, following the absolute domination and decimation of 5 people, 2 of his tag team partners, Big T will be in action.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of anything. So that's plus following the absolute domination and decimation of 5 people, 2 of his tag team partners, Big T will be in action as well. He's huge and good big man. WXW Germany, of course, they've got the 16 Carat coming up, which Carat Noir will be part of, as will Jonathan Gresham and others. So they've announced an 8-man tournament at their Road to Carat 16 Carat show. The winner will earn a place in the 16 Carat Gold tournament. You've got Golden Boy Santos, who is an absolute stud if you haven't seen him. He is just... really stud, and he is the WXW Academy champion, I believe. Swiss's Dennis Cash Doolin, Anel Marek, Hector Invictus, Norman Harris, Peter Tahanye, Tim Stubin, and James Runyon. And as I say, that's set to be compete on the 19th of February. And of course, they've also announced that NWA Women's Tag Team Champions, the Hex, Marty Bell and Sienna, will be at WXW Dead End 2022 on the 12th of February.
Does that mean technically NWA Women will be shown on the WWE Network?
Yes.
Because obviously there is the massive news, I know it's not UK news, but that Mickie James is going to be wrestling in the Royal Rumble, which is just insane.
Yeah, it really is. So Marty Bell and Sienna, the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions, will be on the WWE Network via WXW Germany's Dead End 2022, which will date will go on the WWE Network about 3 weeks later. Up at the moment is the anniversary show with Carat Noir versus Walter. So if you haven't seen that match yet, get on the WWE Network and go watch Carat Noir versus Walter. It was an excellent match. As was Axel Tischer versus Jörn Simmons and the Arrows of Hungary versus Stephanie Mays and Fast Modo. Brilliant matches.
Also on the WWE Network, we have Insane Championship Wrestling, and I'll be talking about their latest Fight Club later. However, ICW have cancelled all their live shows in January due to the rise of COVID cases caused by the new Omicron variant. Shows on the 27th of February and the 13th of March are still to go ahead.
Yeah. It's strange because, as you say, we've got the shows being cancelled in Wales and Scotland, yet the England seems to be maintaining and going ahead. I just hope they're not. The thing is I don't want to see WWE, wrestling promotions hide behind, we'll do what the building says. I'd rather them just straight up say, you need to do a lateral flow test or wear a mask or what are the other ones, or show your COVID, your vaccination passport. At least 2 of the 3 should be met.
Yesterday, I went to the Chelsea match. I am not a big football fan, but I went with my son because he is a huge Chelsea fan, and we went and were with 40,000 people in an enclosed space. We all had to show our COVID passports. We all had to have masks, and I will say that pretty much everybody was wearing a mask in there.
That's excellent. And as I say, I just want, promotions shouldn't hide behind whatever the building's saying. They should come out and state these are the rules to attend shows. But anyway, last week, myself and Daniel, we did the first ever Great British Wrestling Draft, where we drafted 50 wrestlers each from the UK. It was from a list of over 250 wrestlers, believe it or not. And so we picked 50 each. And from that, throughout this year, we'll be doing little things such as creating cards and whatnot. And of course, Progress came back and they said that this year they will be bringing back the Super Strong Style 16. So we decided, well, maybe we should put together our own, out of the drafts that we picked, Super Strong Style 16. But we did realize something. These shows aren't as good as they are without a little bit of international talent. So to save a bit of time, we drafted these off screen, but we picked 10 international talents for now that we can randomly use during any intersection of any game that we play. We'll probably put limits on how many of them can be put into certain ones. So we decided to do our own Super Strong Styles. So quickly, we'll just go through who were your 10 picks.
I picked El Hijo del Vikingo, Timothy Thatcher, Gail Kim. Sorry, not Gail Kim. I decided not to go with Gail Kim. Jordan Grace, Adam Scher, the Arrows of Hungary, Tajiri and Shota Umino, and finally Tristan Archer and Axel Tischer.
Yeah, there's some really good picks. I like the El Hijo del Vikingo. He's just phenomenal, and I didn't even think of him. So I'm not surprised you picked him straight away out of the bat, and then you picked Timothy Thatcher, of course, because Daniel did win the toss beforehand, so we just continued in that format.
That's the second time, you see. I am the champion tosser.
You are. So my picks, on the other hand, is I picked Jonathan Gresham, Mario Salani. I then picked Alice Inc., a Swedish female. She's a kickboxer, and I do love my kickboxers, which is exactly why I picked Stephanie Mays from Germany. I then picked Aussie Open tag team, of course, fantastic. And then finally, my last 2 picks was Japanese Tokyo Joshi Pro superstar Miyu Yamashita. Again, if you've seen her, she's exactly what I would be looking for. And my final pick was Francesco Akira.
Good pick.
So, I was quite happy with 10 internationals. We probably should have done more. Maybe we'll add a few more at another point, because I'm sure there's plenty that we could be doing. So anyway, what would be your first round matches using the guys that you picked?
My first round matches are Michael Oku versus Il Hijo del Vikingo.
Ooh.
BT Gunn versus Timothy Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Crowley versus Lord Gideon Gray.
Ooh, interesting one.
Danny Black versus 2-Bit.
Nice.
Dan Maloney versus Tajiri. Robbie X versus RKJ. Mad Kurt versus Screwface Ahmed. And Mark Haskins versus Warren Banks.
Okay. Who goes through to the quarterfinals?
Michael Oku loses to Il Hijo del Vikingo. And he will then be taking on Danny Black, who beats 2-Bit. BT Gunn loses to Timothy Thatcher. He will then be going on to face Dan Maloney, who beats Tajiri. Well done, Dan Maloney. Gideon Gray uses nefarious means. He has some of his helpers in the Legion come out and help him beat down Charles Crowley and wins. And Robbie X beats RKJ, and Warren Banks beats Mark Haskins.
Nice. Trying to find my list again. I've lost my list. Where are
We
they?
then go on with Gideon Gray again having people cheat to beat Mad Kurt. Robbie X goes against Warren Banks and loses. Timothy Thatcher versus Dan Maloney, as you can imagine, is one hell of a fight. And Dan Maloney wins. He beats the second international star. And El Hijo del Vikingo versus Danny Black is the high-flying dream match that you've always wanted to see and is won by Vikingo. We then go through to our semi-finals, Gideon Gray versus Warren Banks. Gideon Gray brings out Legion members to try and cheat. But thank goodness in my picks, I picked out Warren Banks' friends, Lycos Jim, who come out to equal the numbers and save the day, and Warren Banks go through to the final. El Vikingo versus Dan Maloney. The Viking wins, and it leads us to Warren Banks versus El Hijo del Vikingo. And our new Super Strong 16 champion from Dan's roster is the Nigerian Kaiju, Mr. Warren Banks.
Nice. That sounds like a awesome tournament.
Thank you. And it also leads us to Warren Banks and Lycos Jim versus the Legion in future shows.
Nice. I like that idea. I'm just having to find mine for some reason. It has completely lost, and I'm trying to remember it.
I just want to see Mad Kurt versus Screwface Ahmed, with Mad Kurt winning by cheating. I think that would just be one of the most entertaining matches.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good little matchup. I like the idea of El Helio del Vikingo versus
Danny Black in round two.
Yes, that the Michael Oku match.
Oh yes, that was my first match of the night. That was my sort of like wow match. Because also I felt that was one of the matches where you genuinely could have either of them win.
Yeah.
It wasn't one where you could pick who was going to win. I tried to make it like that with all of the matches. But yeah.
Nice. Okay. I like what you're saying.
I did actually think it through.
Okay. So I have Spike Trevay versus Martin Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Daz Black versus Roy Johnson. Not Danny Black, Daz Black. There are two guys with the exact same
style.
That's Black versus Roy Johnson. Kev Lloyd versus Joel Redman.
Nice.
Scott Oberman versus Francesco Akira. Marius Al-Ani versus Jonathan Gresham.
I would pay to see that.
Alexander Roth versus Tom Farewell. Yeston Reese versus Cara Noir.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
And Visage versus Craig Anthony. Okay.
Yeah.
So Spike Trevay defeats Martin Kirby to advance. Daz Black defeats Roy Johnson to advance. Kev Lloyd defeats Joel Redmond to advance. Scott Oberman defeats Francisco Akira to advance.
You what?
I know, but you see, I couldn't get Chris Ridgway, but I got the whole rest of Northwest Strong. And I've decided that out of the guys, it will be Oberman who will kind of take the lead. And he will have Northwest Strong behind him.
I didn't even put Chris Ridgway in my Super Strong 16.
You didn't? No. And Jonathan Gresham defeats Marius Al-Ani. Roy Johnson defeats Tom Farewell. Cara Noir defeats Yeston Reese. And Craig Anthony defeats Visage. Daz Black then defeats Spike Trevay. And Scott Oberman defeats Kev Lloyd. Jonathan Gresham defeats Tom Farewell, and Cara Noir defeats Craig Anthony. So my semi-finals are Daz Black versus Scott Oberman. Oberman defeats Daz Black. And in the semi-finals, Cara Noir defeats Jonathan Gresham. And in the finals, it is Scott Oberman versus Cara Noir. And all of Northwest Strong get involved once again, but Cara Noir is able to fight them off until Oberman traps him. And Oberman surprisingly wins and becomes the champion as Northwest Strong stand tall over the first event of the Andrew Wrestling Federation. Northwest Strong are imposing their will from the beginning. And I'm just a huge fan of Scott Oberman as a wrestler. And as I say, I'd like to push the new guy, the younger guy. He will eventually obviously lose Cara Noir. And but I figure I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put my top belt on my young man who I think could be a champion.
Well, I've done a little bit of Googling. And I can't see Scott Oberman versus Warren Banks having happened before.
Ooh, somebody book that. Somebody needs to book Scott Oberman versus Warren Banks and put our finalists against each other. I like the fact that we both chose somebody a little bit random to come out on top of our Super Strong Style 16. So, yeah, I would have thought Chris Ridgway would have been in it and won for you. So,
too obvious.
Yeah, I thought the same.
What I will say, though, is you've chosen somebody northern and I've chosen somebody southern.
Yes. Northwest Strong. Although I'm in the northeast. Anyway, yeah, so that's how we would book our opening, I guess, shows. It'd be like a 2-day thing, 3-day thing maybe, and it would be those matchups, and I guess losers would take on losers in the other matchups. We hope you enjoyed. Let's get on to some results and reviews, shall we?
Let's go for it. Should we start off with RevPro UK?
Yeah, they were live at the 229.56. It started off with RKJ versus Callum Newman. RKJ came out as the winner in this match. As you can imagine, this match was fast. It was hard hitting. It was high flying. Great way to open the show. Of course, RKJ was pointing out the fact that Callum Newman is Will Ospreay's protege, so he kind of gave it to him quite hard. And if you don't believe us, just go check out the interview we did with Callum Newman, and he'll tell you exactly how hard RKJ chops. Yota Tsuji in his first match as part of the Legion team with Lucy and Phillips, and they defeated the Contenders team of David Francisco versus Jason Joshua. This was the story of a reluctant Tsuji having to do the Legion's work. Of course, the fans were still chanting for Yota Tsuji when he was in.
I just realised we missed a piece of news.
What's that?
Robbie X is injured.
He is, yes. I hope you're, go.
Robbie X was in a match at TNT.
Recently, yeah. He was due to face Scotty Rourke, but Scotty Rourke was unable to be at the show due to him having COVID. So I hope you're feeling better, Scotty Rourke, if you're watching, and get well soon. But yeah, so go
on. So Robbie X then had his match. I cannot remember who it was. It was against Dean Allmark. And unfortunately, he was injured. I don't know the nature of the injury. That hasn't been said, but he will be out. He will be missing a few shows. If you want to find out more, I would recommend that you listen to another podcast on the Jonas Network, because Jonas is going to be interviewing Robbie X next week.
Yeah, he is. So yeah, good luck, Jonas. Good interview. Robbie X, great guy. He just did one with Nick Riley as well, didn't he? So
he did indeed.
So yeah, good guy.
Sorry, I've gone completely off kilter. I do apologise. Go back to live at the 22956.
Indeed. The fans are really behind David Francesco as well, by the way. Robbie X defeated Lee Hunter. This was a great match. As you can imagine, two absolute veterans. The fans are just so behind Robbie X at the moment down there. So unfortunately, as you say, this injury, I'm sure hopefully won't dampen things too much. Sunshine Machine then defeated Aussie Open.
Mm-hmm.
After the match, Aussie Open got on the mic and were like, yeah, we came back to British wrestling for this reason, and you should be cheering for Sunshine Machine and all the rest. They then left the ring and Sunshine Machine was celebrating, and then they came back and just beat down Sunshine Machine and then beat down the referee as well. And this is the reason they got their bags packed and sent back to Australia. Michael Oku then defeated Dan Maloney. Maloney dominated for most of the matches you would typically accept with he got a roll-up win, so you know it's always hard, but yeah, damn it. So he picks up the win there. It was a great, good match at times, and Shota Umino then defeated JJ Gale in a decent enough match, and in the main event, Will Ospreay took on Connor Mills. This was an excellent match, as you can imagine. High again, very fast paced, very athletic, very hard hitting, just and really, really good match. Go out your way to go see it if you can. Overall, I'd give the whole show about 3.5 sugars, I think.
Nice.
On the list there. I then watched North NCL, and that was via their Patreon service, which is available. Sorry, I'm just on the wrong profile. You switch. It's the problem with having 2 Twitter accounts, isn't it? Having to keep switching back.
Mate, I've got 3.
Yeah, so North Wrestling.
No, crap, I've got 4.
So yeah, so you can get you can watch North Wrestling shows via their Patreon, patreon.com/North Wrestling. That's where you can sign up and get all of their shows. They are also available on a delay on the IWTV streaming service.
Yep.
They sent me a link. I signed up to their Patreon and I gave the last show a watch, and it was a really good show. It opened up with Lycos 2 defeating Gene Money. Are you giving me a strange look? Sorry, I haven't got my camera on. Anyway, so yeah, he attacked him before the match, but then you know it was just a matter of at one point it was a good bit where Kid Lycos 2 just kept going off the ropes and trying to do his shoulder block. And he literally just kept going. And G Money was encouraging him, going, oh, and go for it. And until the point where basically Lycos 2 ran out of breath. So that was a good spot. But it was a really fun match. It was an entertaining match. And Lycos 2 kicked him hard in the nuts. Rolled him up for the win. So that's how Lycos 2 did manage to defeat G Money. He did work over legs as well at points, but G Money dominated most of the match. Martin Kirby then defeated Connor Renshaw. Good match. Connor Renshaw was a part of the Landed Gentry with Zio Knox, and they are like a little Tory uppity type people, you know. Dan really hates these guys. But after the defeat, they tried to blame Connor, and Connor then turned on Zio Knox and and sent Zio Knox running, which the crowd very much enjoyed. Man Like the Reese then defeated HT Drake. Really good match, athletic, strong tag team match. In the tag team tournament, as a round 1 match, it was Lizzy, Evo, and Tonga. They were taking on Rio and Gia Adams.
Nice team.
And Lizzy, Evo, and Tonga managed to get the win here. Really good match. Great performance from all 4 ladies. Just did an excellent job. Then it was another tag team round 1 match, and it was Crash Boat versus Alexis Falcon.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry, no, it was Crash Boat versus Sunshine Machine. My God, what was it? This was great. This was so good. This was so much fun. I mean, there's a few little things, but I'm not going to pick at it. This was just so much fun. They really, the crowd dueling chants. Crash Boat need to be booked everywhere. Fans absolutely love them, and this was just a really because Jack Bandicoot is so inventive with his maneuver. He's just such an excellent performer. Jake is so good, and they've come up with some great combinations together. And as you can imagine, Sunshine Machine have great combinations as well.
Oh yes,
really good match. Crash Boat came out with the win. So great for Sunshine Machine to put over Crash Boat, and because Crash Boat are getting the crowd support at North Wrestling right now. Next match with Lana Austin versus Alexis Falcon. This was fantastic. This was my second favorite match of the show. I really love Lana Austin. She is a true veteran, and she needs to be booked more places, in my opinion. She has so much to offer. And Alexis Falcon is fantastic as well. They put on a great match, and Lana Austin came away with a win. Next, it was Liam Slater and a mystery partner who turned out to be Lou Nixon, who is a regular for North back in the day. He also is an MMA performer, apparently. And they took on Shreddy and Rory Coyle in a no DQ match. This was a bit hard to watch at times, as you know, I'm not a big fan of these type, but it was a good match, but you know, I'm not a fan of hardcore matches. Of course, I think there are reasons behind it. I remember going to their first show, and obviously Rory Coyle stole the championship in that first show, so I know there's some backstory there. And of course, Rory Coyle is the original Sick Boy. But really, really strong show overall. And you know what? I'm going to give it 4 sugars. So go, if you know, North Wrestling, great in the Northeast. Newcastle, again, they're building a reputation very similar to Catch Pro, very similar to TNT Extreme, British Wrestling Revolution, of reiterating what Rev Pro and guys have been doing down the south, and they've been really doing that in the north. And I'm a big fan of North Wrestling NCL.
Well, one of my daughters is at uni up in the northeast, so I might have to head up and combine a wrestling show and a family visit.
Yes, they have invited me to a show, and of course they have said that I will get a chair. Thank you, North.
Right, NXT UK.
Yeah, I'll let you tell me about these ones.
Smith and Carter versus Symbiosis was the first match. It was a 50-50 match. My only question from it was, what the hell was Tyson T-Bone doing a frog splash? No, Tyson T-Bone, you're a big, hard man. You don't need to...
I think it was just a splash. I don't think it was a frog splash. It was just flat.
It was described as a frog splash.
It was described as a frog splash, but it just looked like a big guy flailing.
He did it better than I could.
Falling with style.
Hey. It was a good 50-50 match. Smith and Carter win it with the boom, which is a cutter from an electric chair. Sam Gradwell then interrupted a Pretty Deadly who were being interviewed and called them babies. This is going to lead on to Sam Gradwell versus possibly Sammy Smooth. We shall see. I will be happy to see that. There was then video of Dragunov training at home and spending time with his family, and then being shown as a good family man. Noam Dar.
I didn't really think this promo did much for Ilya Dragunov, did you?
Oh, it did sod all for Ilya Dragunov.
This was not the Amel one, and to be honest, even Jordan Devlin's perfume advert was.
It was a perfume advert, wasn't it? Noam Dar is confident that he is going to win against A-Kid.
I don't think he's all that confident.
I don't think he's all that confident, but he was G'd up by Shaw Samuels.
Winning in the fourth.
Yes. Da Familia prepare for the tag tournament.
It was that promo.
Do you think so?
It wasn't a.
I really like all three, but I just didn't feel anything from the promo.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just kind of like, this is what we are doing. So I guess it was just it. So
that was short. So hey,
yeah.
Milo Grace.
At least there wasn't a Gallus.
Yes, this is true. We escaped one of those this week. Milo Grace versus Zaya Brooks.
This was, I thought she did okay.
Zaya Brooks side wrestled better than usual.
Yeah, I do. I like the bratty. I like the cockiness. I like her, the way she turns on the crowd, or the way the crowd turns on her.
Also, I think they must have been listening to our podcast. They did describe her brattiness as well.
Yeah, well, they all listen to our podcast. You know they do. They both.
A-Kid is training hard for Noam Dar. Good for A-Kid.
What do you do? Do you think? I think Noam retains. Shaw screws A-Kid maybe.
The problem is A-Kid's already lost to Dragunov.
Yeah, as I say, he's kind of got himself into this position now. Where do we go with him? Do we knock him down enough and then have him rebuild and go back for the championship at some point? I feel would be. So I feel he's going to lose here. I feel Dar and Shaw are going to screw him.
On the upside, I genuinely don't know, which makes me quite happy.
Yeah.
Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff can't cut a promo.
No, they can't.
No, they can't. They tried. They failed. Amel then did a little interview promo about the power of hope, and Angel Hayes came past and said that she liked her promo. And then Ginny came past and called her pathetic, and then Stevie Turner came past and agreed with Ginny. So guess what tag match we've got coming up soon?
Could be, yeah. It's like what was she afraid to do it to Ginny? So she did it to Stevie, Bobby, Stevie, yeah, Stevie. Yeah, there we go. It should be good matches to come out of that. I really loved that male promo the other week.
It was brilliant. It really changed it.
Not like a Ilya Dragunov's one.
No. In fact, oh God, do I risk saying this? Yeah, come at me if you disagree. I think this promo is the biggest change of personality by promo since Jim Ross interviewed Mankind.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because you've gone from a true heel to a true babyface via a promo.
Yeah, that's like such an aspiring promo.
Yeah. Walter will be facing Nathan Fraser next week. Yes. Thank you. We then had our main event, Blair Davenport versus Mako Satomura. Brilliant match.
Great match.
Really great match.
Great match.
It was won in an interesting way with Satomura reversing a roll-up.
Yes, I like this because it gives Davenport an out. It gives Davenport that you got lucky, you caught me with a roll-up. And I think that is a great way to continue this story because, of course, she didn't like that. She attacks Mako after the match, and you can continue it.
I'm glad they'll continue it. I think they will continue it. And I think it was very good. Overall, this week, I would give NXT UK 3.5 sugars.
I would also give NXT UK 3.5 sugars.
ICW.
Do you?
I do CW. It's the cider. It's an absolute killer. Tesco's finest. Just the match highlights. Theodorus versus Logan Smith. Logan came close with a low blow, but Doris was Theodorus. He's an amazing wrestler, and he has the rules to follow him now. He hit the elbow for Olympus for the win. Well done, Theodorus. Divine and Romero versus Luking Sharp and Krieger. This was the return of Luking Sharp and Krieger as a tag team. They were back together. They were looking amazing. It was a squash match. They won it in 3 minutes. It was a good squash match.
As you do.
Ravy Davey versus Stevie James. Stevie James had loads of singles matches recently. Loads. And he's doing really, really well. Not quite well enough to beat Ravy Davey when Ravy Davey uses a chair on a moonsault off the second rope, which looked nasty. And I believe Ravy Davey actually knocked one of his own teeth out doing that move. He followed this up with a double underhook DDT on the chair for the 1, 2, 3. So it's nice to see Ravy Davey. Junior versus Saqib Ali versus Dylan Thorne. I'm actually liking Saqib Ali. I think shaving his head has made him a more likable person. It's improved his wrestling. He is a reverse Samson. However, he wasn't enough for reverse Samson because Dylan Thorne wins after interruption from the Manifesto, who held Talon Jr. back, and Dylan Thorne hit the Crown of Thorns on Saqib Ali, and he is now the #1 contender to Daz Black's ICW 0G Championship. That will be a great match. Yeah. Dylan Thorne came close before. I think it'll be really, really good.
He's one of these standout young guys on ICW. There's been so many great new young performers come through ICW via this No Fan or WWE Network era, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And finally, Angel Hayes versus Anastasia. They gave him a good 15 minutes here. Anastasia showed her power. Hayes showed her technique and won with a technique. She won with a guillotine and put Anastasia to sleep.
Excellent. Overall, what would you give ICW?
Overall, ICW, it was a good show. The interviews are good as well. I'm actually going to go up a level. I'm going to give it a 4.
Excellent. Fantastic. Great show for ICW this week. Obviously, there was Wrestle Kingdom this past weekend. Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi lost their tag team championships to Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi Goto-Hashi. This was a good tag team match. Goto-Hashi or Yoshihashi Hiroki Goto have created some really good tag team combinations. Very opposite to Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi, have been together for ages, yet they've only got 2 tag team moves because the rest of it is just them. We are just 2 great wrestlers. We don't need to do all these special tag team moves. But Goto-Hashi and obviously do. And they came up the victors. Really good match. Really good. I'd give it 3.5 sugars. Go watch it. It's on the NJPW World. Will Ospreay, of course, on night 2 took on Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. This was fantastic. It was always going to be fantastic. It was slow and methodical. It was fast and athletic. Great selling. Excellent near falls. And Kazuchika Okada came away with the win. At one point, Will Ospreay does a moonsault off the
scaffolding tower. It was amazing.
Basically, yeah, it was amazing. And you know, actually, that's available to watch for free on NJPW World. You don't have to sign up.
As well as that, there was a wonderful tweet. Facebook post that went out from Callum Newman's father. With a picture of Will Ospreay jumping off there, saying, "This is why I have to worry about my son." And then Will Ospreay's mum put, "It's not my fault." Have you seen the Meltzer rating?
I'm assuming Meltzer gave it 5.5.
Close, very close. 5 3/4.
5 3/4. See, I wouldn't. I would stick it at 5. And I don't think it deserves to go over 5. I would say Walter and Ilya Dragunov was slightly better, although I would consider both of them 5 sugar matches. It's just a really phenomenal match. And I'm going to double check that, but I'm sure they put that up for free on their NJPWworld.com. Let's double check that. Classics for free.
While you're looking at that,
yeah, they have Wrestle King. Yeah, they put the Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay is actually available for free on the NJPworld.com. So even if you're not signed up to it, you can go and watch that. So go watch that. It was a great match.
We will stick a link to it on Twitter.
Yeah, if we can. Available on there as well is the most recent NJPW Strong Nemesis, on which Gabriel Kidd main evented against Eddie Kingston. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet, so I'm going to watch this and make sure we review it next week, because we obviously really want to follow what Gabriel Kidd is doing at the moment. Let's go on to a bit of a further roundup, because there's still lots of British wrestling news to get through.
Oh, yes. Shall I start?
Go for it.
Wrestle Carnival have announced the second match for their second show, Thursday Night Carnival, on the 17th of February in Tamworth. Man like Therese will take on Brady Phillips.
That should be a fantastic matchup. British Wrestling Revolution, BWR, have announced that the Anarchy briefcase holder, Ricky Knight Jr., will go one-on-one with the Prince of Pace, Callum Newman, at Underground 9, and that is on the 28th of January. We've seen that matchup. It's great.
Oh, yes. Black Country Championship Wrestling have announced the main event for their King of Division on the 28th of January at Allen's Sports Bar in Tipton. Dan Maloney versus Tyson T-Bone versus Lee Hunter, plus the King of the Division Gauntlet match. 10 men, 1 winner. Entries to the Gauntlet match so far are Luke Basham, Luke Douglas, MJ Grayson, Steve Keane. Black Country Championship Wrestling have also announced the show dates for 2022 in Tipton. They are 28th of January, 18th of February, 18th of March, 27th of May, 24th of June, 22nd of July, 30th of September, 28th of October, 2nd of December, and in Dudley, 29th of April and 26th of August.
Indeed. Wrestle Island. The Island returned to action on the 20th of February in Birkenhead with La Isla de Papel, announcing that Harley Hudson will challenge Alexis Falcon. She is cashing in her power-up briefcase for a shot at Alexis Falcon's championship. Plus, Warren Banks, Cameron Solos, Casey Payne, Scott Oberman, Big T, and David Grant will all be in action.
Pro Wrestling Ambush are back in action with Spring Loaded on the 18th of February. Danny Black, Damon Moser, Chuck Mambo, Evie Madden, Laura Di Matteo, and TK Cooper will all be in action.
Some big names. North Wrestling NCL, they are back at the Anarchy Brewery once again on the 4th of February with Losing My Edge. North have announced a huge four-way match that includes Charlie Morgan and Heidi Katrina, who will be making their debuts, as well as Rio and Tonga. Plus, Gabriel Kidd will face somebody, not Robbie X, though.
No, bless him. Southwest Wrestling, SWW, have announced that their after-hours show on the 29th of January that Sheikh El Sham will defend his SWW Heavyweight Championship against Yestin Reese. That is two very big, very ripped men. It is an over-18 show at the Frog and Fiddle in Cheltenham. Plus, Kian Kelly versus Mark Clark, LA Taylor versus Harley Hudson for the Women's Championship, Eddie Ryan versus Buzzsaw Bronson, Nico Angelo versus Lee Hunter for the Openweight Championship. Also, Southwest Wrestling will be in Gloucester and Bristol on February the 19th and 20th, respectively, with Combat Volume 4 and 5. LA Taylor, The Sheik, Chris Bronson, Hotshot Adams, Yestin Reese, Charlie Sterling, Nick Riley, and Brendan White will all be in action.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good show at the over 18 after hours. Some great matchups there.
Yeah, very much so.
Kamikaze Wrestling, they are returning to action on the 19th of February at the Mill in Digbeth. They're over the top 8. Sunshine Machine, Hannah Taylor, Chantel Jordan, Man Like Doris, Carlos Roma, and Chris Ridgway will all be there.
DNA Pro Wrestling have begun to announce matches for their up-and-coming It's In Our Blood 3. So far announced, Nathan Cruz versus Forrest Hayes. Friend of the show, Corey McRae versus friend of the show, Adam Maxted. Robbie X versus CJ Carter, and Heidi Katrina versus somebody.
It'd be interesting to see if Robbie X does recover in time for that one. But yeah, it looks like they've got their sort of like their hometown boys going up against they've brought some big stars to face their hometown boys. Nice to see DNA Pro Wrestling. Barracks Pro Wrestling, they are in action on the 28th of January in Newcastle. Benjamin Harlan, Jack Knudsen, Chantel Jordan, and Kia will all be in action.
Discovery Wrestling are back in action on the 27th of February in Edinburgh with All About the Raffle, the most unpredictable show of Discovery, with every match stipulation and every competitor chosen by raffle. Love it.
Indeed. Rumble Wrestling Promotions. Rumble open up 2022 with their first show at Ditton in Kent with a sensational 4-man KO with a ladder match. Kate Mayfair's, Mr. USA, KM Lane, Nino Bryan, with also ladies action, and you've also got Sid Manelli defending his title against Percy Traynor. Plus, Chuck Mambo will be returning to Rumble Wrestling. He'll be appearing on the Saturday, the 12th of February in Gillingham at 1 p.m. and in Whitstable at 7:30 p.m. And he says he is ready to take on the best Rumble can offer. Let's have Chuck Mambo versus Tate Mayfair, because you know what they say.
Tateness is greatness.
Friend of the show.
World Pro Wrestling have announced another match for the All-Star Extravaganza, and it just keeps getting better and better as Dutch superstar Kenzo Richards faces off against All Japan's Atsuki Aoyagi. Yeah, Aoyagi. Aoyagi is 22 years old, 3 years experience in the ring. Richards is 45 with over 15 years of in-ring experience. It should be a cracker of a match. And that WPW show just looks amazing.
Indeed. Phenomenal Elite Wrestling for their first show. You will be there. They've begun to announce competitors for the Golden Ticket Battle Royal, and this is Brave New World on the 26th of February. So far entered are Chocolate Thunder, Lance Rivera, Drake Winter, Aaron Warnes, and Tyler Adams. In other news, Rory has refused to work with anyone and will no longer be teaming with Lucia Lee against Mia Cortez and Jade. Instead, she will now go it alone in a handicap match. Plus, in further news, Hannah Taylor and Pete Hayes have become phenomenal by joining the PEW roster.
Good Pro Wrestling Good return on the 22nd of January at the To Hell with Good Intentions show. This will feature Brendan White, Jade, Hustle Malone, Gene Money, Warren Banks, Charlie Evans, and Mad Gert. The show will feature the Great Scramble with 12 competitors going up against each other with just one winner.
Indeed. Odyssey Pro Wrestling OPW have announced that the OPW champion Ryan Hunter will defend his championship against Nathan Cruz at Overboard on 29th of January in Morecambe. The show will also feature Lana Austin versus Tonga, Lucas Neon and Nick Cutter versus Reese and Rogan, Alexis Falcon versus Gia Adam, and a 20-person rumble.
Independent Wrestling Elite, the IWE, are in Chelmsford on February the 19th with Valentine's Violence. Eddie Kenway, Kelly Six, Darcy Stone, Mia Cortez, Ebenezer, Taylor James, Xander, and Frankie T will all be in action.
Indeed. And of course, UKPW have announced Blizzard Brawl on the 19th of February. They've also announced that Alexander Roth will defend his newly won heavyweight championship against Bullet, of course, UKPW, friends of the show.
And next week, we have Sacrifice Pro Wrestling in Bedford on the 16th with Game of the Year edition. The vacant ticking time bomb championship will feature Warren Banks versus Hustle Malone versus Pain. With tag team championship match, Mia Cortez and Evie Madden versus Act 2, Benjamin Harland and Jack Cudson. The Loserweights championship, Tommy Kyle versus Truman Roswell. I was watching both of them today. Coburn Cup first round match, Alexander Roth versus Kent Nelson. Coburn Cup first round match, David Grant versus Roy Johnson versus Jade versus Twister Guerrilla Warfare versus The Rebellion. And Ultimate Sacrifice Championship, Frankie Vegas versus Carl Kingsley versus Tim Lee.
That's how you make every match important.
Oh, yes.
Indeed. WXW also in action and Back to Roots 2022. Fast Time Mudo versus Peter Tichanye. Oscar versus Jan Simmons. The WXW Tag Team Championship match. Agil Blanc and the Sense of Volto take on Arrows of Hungary. And Ilmarik and Robert Dreisker are taking on Maggot, Vincent Heisenberg, and Baby Allison in a cage match. Tristan Archer will be facing off with Francesco Akira. The WWE WXW Shotgun Championship, Absolute Andy versus a lottery picked opponent. Plus, in the main event, Levaniel versus Axel Tischer. That is a show and a half. I will be watching that show for you via the WXW Now service. And we'll be coming back and giving a review of it next week. Before we sign off, go.
Before we sign off, I want to remind everybody that you can watch the best of British wrestling on Powered 4 TV. If you go to Powered 4 TV, you can find shows from some of the companies that we have described today, including TNT. Who else have we got, Andy?
Catch Pro Wrestling.
Who are amazing.
Wrestle Island, Superstar Pro Wrestling, Reloaded Championship Wrestling Alliance, FNW, Fight Nation Wrestling, Triumph Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Island, and so many more. And an American company,
XWW.
Extreme World Wrestling.
There's also some brilliant interviews, including interviews with The Sheikh, which is always worth a laugh, with Bret Hart and many, many others. And you can watch them for free. Absolutely nothing, for free, by typing in TEAPOD, TPOD. When you join up with that code, you get 30 days of free wrestling. And if you enjoy it, stay on, because it is not an expensive thing to have. It is the Netflix of pro wrestling. Go on to Powered 4 TV.
I mean, yeah, right now they are dropping so many classic IPW shows, including IPW and CCW Extreme Measures, Ethan Page versus Rob Lynch. Maxwell Freaky Jupiter, MJF versus Chris Brooks. Mark Haskins versus Joe Gacy, and others. You've also got the International Battle Royal in 2018, Kip Sabian versus Maverick Mayhew, Zaya Brookside versus Tennille Dashwood, and Austin Aries versus Mark Haskins. APW's Year 1 at MK, and this features Will Ospreay versus Kip Sabian, and FNW's Chapter 3, Johnny Storm, Ryan Smile versus Robbie Short, Timothy Thatch versus PJ Black. So many great matches. Mark Andrews versus Chris Ridgway. And as my colleague just said, you can watch all of these for free when you sign up using the promo code TPOD, TEAPOD. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we've only got one more thing to say. Don't feed the trolls.